straining for that logo on the side of your helmet and not the name on your back.
Yes, sir.
Because we know what it represents. It represents everybody here you see and everybody you can't that we've talked about. I'm here to strain with you, man. I swear to God, I'm here to strain with you. Let's go. Everything you got, strain with everything you got. Let's go. Bills on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bills.
You're listening to the Off Tackle with John Fina Show with your host, Joe Miller.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is not Joe Miller, but it's your boy JSpencetheKing, and I am excited to be here. I am here this week with the one and only, the big guy, Mr. John Fina, for the Off Tackle with John Fina Show. What's up, John?
Hey, JSpencetheKing, man. It's so good to have you as my substitute host for the show. Bro, we don't talk enough. I took this new job. I'm just so busy, but we're going to catch a couple of games together this season, man.
Yeah, you're so busy.
We got to do it.
We got to hit the backers bars and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, are there any down there where you are?
We have one, and let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
The people are wonderful, but I'll tell you in one sentence, the location is horrible for viewing, the service is slow, the food is bad, and it's expensive. So win, 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 win.
All right, well, we might check that out. I know the one here in Phoenix, Laura with the Bills Mafia Babe. She runs the one closest to me here in Phoenix. I think there's a couple.
Yeah.
Great time every time I go. So, but hey, man, let's get into it. Before we do, I do have to say that you are tuned in to the Off Tackle with John Fina Show on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network, presented by Picasso's Pizza. Treat yourself to the most flavorful pizza on game day, Picasso's. We are Buffalo Pizza, shipping local and nationwide. Order online at picassopizza.net. All right.
Hey, we got a lot of people in the comments already. Richard Rush, thanks for getting your ASS here, and everybody looks like they're having a great time. Mimi Fina in the audience. There's Richard. Good evening, Mafia family. My ASS is here. Mark Johnson, how you doing, Mark? Oh my God, you're just flipping them all up there. We got great cast of characters, all the wonderful people of the Bills Mafia. So thanks for joining. If you really have a huge question that you want to address, throw it in the super chat, and Jay and I will give our opinions for whatever that's worth. I don't know what it's worth. What's it worth?
So before the first topic, though, man, I just noticed Mimi was in here, so I wanted to say something. First of all, your daughter's awesome. She texted me earlier. I had a rough morning, so somebody posted like a article about the shooting of my aunt and everything that happened back in May. So it kind of just took a turn this morning, and she texted me and she was just checking up on me, and she said like just so many sweet things like she always does. She gave me a nickname.
Uh-oh. Yeah, JSpencetheKing isn't the coolest already. I mean, what's up?
It's cool.
We're a big nickname family. So what'd she come up with?
It's cool, but I mean, well, I'm not going to say it on. I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
I can't say it on air because I don't want anybody else but Mimi to say it. It's Mimi's
text
name.
me. Oh, that's cool. I like it. Yeah, she's creative, talented, smart, resourceful, and now she's in Florida. So all those Floridians get the benefit of having the lovely and talented Mimi Fina.
Yeah, I'm jealous. Everybody, Florida stole Mimi from Arizona.
You're stuck with me. Sorry.
Stuck with you. No, but you're the guy. So let's get into it, man. We got a lot to talk about. It's a lot going on, man, in Buffalo. And when you and I talked to kind of get this going, we kind of threw it out there like, hey, do we want to talk about it? Do we want to dance around it? We both kind of agreed that you can't not talk about it. So, for starters, what are your thoughts and your feelings? How do you feel about everything that happened with the Buffalo Bills releasing punter Matt Araiza over the weekend due to the civil case of the charges of gang rape?
Yeah, so I've talked to you about it. I talked to Joe about it, and I've thought real hard about it. And this is you're a contract worker, right? So he's not really part of the organization. I'm not going to go backwards and try to figure out when they knew what. We'll talk about that a little bit. I think a lot of people saw it, and it was so horrifying and so disgusting. And, you want people and organizations to line up with the way you believe and you behave. And, I thought like, wow, they could just release him right now. But this hasn't been the way this organization operates. We talk about trust the process, and the process is like this. So even though this was just abhorrent and disgusting and still yet to have a final disposition, we couldn't hold the organization, I think, in my opinion. And what, crush me on Twitter if you want. I don't mind. I think that they responded as they do, soberly, sadly, and and cut the guy loose. And I have no problems with how they handled it. That's their deal. I just think that they made a decisive move when they made a decision. It wasn't like death by 1,000 cuts or some kind of weaselly this or that. That was it.
Satara, I'm hoping that I'm saying this correctly, has a question for you. If he's acquitted or if criminal charges never filed, if the civil case is in his favor, all big ifs, would you consider, if you were the Bills, would you consider bringing him back? Or at this point, is it just like, we're done?
Yeah, so Satara, I hope I'm getting that right too. I don't think he comes back. This is one of those things that can follow you. Let's say he's completely exonerated, it never happened, which I don't believe. It's hard to kind of rub off that stain, and this landed in the community of Buffalo, and I don't think that he would ever be able to outrun the shadow of this. If that is indeed the case, many giant capital IFs on that, he would probably be better finding a home, way up in Seattle or way down in the South or in Miami, as far away from San Diego and Buffalo as you can get geographically within the NFL.
Yeah. And my man JR, I'm going to agree with JR here. For those listening by podcast form, he's saying I wouldn't bring him back. He admitted to having sex with a minor. So that's where I am. So when everything first happened, man, it was kind of like threefold. It was layered. Obviously, I feel horribly for the victim. And then B, I feel horribly for victims that are reliving their trauma.
Yeah.
And then C, the Buffalo Bills needed to get rid of them. So like, to me, those were the three things that I was concerned with. And, I'm just proud that the Bills were, they weren't the type of team that we see in other places in the NFL. Like, with the Cleveland Browns, we didn't get that type of situation. So I'm happy. Overall, I'm happy.
Yeah. I mean, you say happy, but I know it's kind of like oh God, I guess right, I'm happy. Right. I mean, this was like a dog shit sandwich and everybody took a bite, and some people took bigger bites. Like you said, people who have been victims, certainly the victim herself. And yeah, you know what? I guess there's so many things flying around about this. It's sometimes hard to keep the details in my head because I just don't want to think about it. But he did admit to having sex with a minor, and that could be enough for all 32 teams, except Cleveland. And that's not a joke. I mean,
right.
Right. And look, I don't run those businesses and I don't make those business decisions, and none of us do. Nobody in the chat, and you and I don't, and we can only fly by, our emotions, and that's okay. That's what makes this game great, whether not this issue, but rooting for your guy and rooting for your team.
Yeah, and it's good that you are able to still root for your team, because there was a moment there where Joe and I actually had a text conversation off the show, and it's like, I won't hesitate. Like, I love my team, and I know I love my team.
Yeah,
I would not hesitate to have spoken out against the organization had they not made a move. This is something that I think they had to take very seriously, and not just for the sake of their organization, but for the people that they claim that they love as fans, the people that I'm sure there are people in the organization. You have a woman that's an owner. I just feel that women, at some point, we really need to be serious about protecting women and believing victims, not just women, but believing victims as well of these type of crimes.
Yep. Yeah. So, it's a rare instance where these are not real claims, and they should all be investigated, to find that out. They should all be. They should all be taken with the same seriousness. We'll talk offline, about other issues that, I'd be interested to hear your opinion on. But By and large, look, they did it. They cut the guy. We have too much at stake this season. We have too many people, kind of moving toward a goal, moving toward that pinnacle. And this team is poised, and there's too many distractions. So I'm going to, unless you got anything else to say about it or we get a super chat, I'm going to flip it right now, right? You mentioned your aunt who, was murdered. It's hard to even relive the moment, right? The moments that led up to that. But I think in the spirit of your aunt, the other victims, and the community of Buffalo, Bruce Smith, right now as we speak, is hosting an event in memoriam of Aaron Salter, the security guard who was murdered at Tops. And I guess the commissioner is there. I don't know if that's common knowledge or not, but I think, and I saw someone in the chat saying we're regressing as a society, but yeah, some of us are, right? But then there's some of us who are willing to always have a kind word when we're attacked or what have you, those of us who are just willing to continue to put a positive, face or motion to things. And Bruce is certainly doing that. And, I think the community of Buffalo, though not healed and though not completely over it, it's an inflection point, and hopefully this helps grow and change and make it a better community for everybody.
I will say, just to kind of touch on that topic, as far as what's happening in Buffalo now, with the commissioner being there, everybody from the 90s team that kind of still sticks around Buffalo. I haven't had a chance to even do this on my show, but I'm trying not to get emotional now because today was rough. But I want to thank all of you, like Thurman and his wife, Bruce, everybody, y'all did a whole lot. And I can't thank the Western community, the community of Western New York enough. I can't.
And that's a beautiful thing, Spence. Thanks for sharing that with everybody. And everybody in this chat and who listens to this program knows you and loves you and recognizes that, we are all the same and we are all different at the same time, but we are all human. We're all flesh and blood, right? And, this community, I think about it where we have a lot of givers, right? We raise a lot of money for a lot of incredible reasons and people and programs and charities, and you don't always think it's going to be you that's going to be positively affected by the behavior of our community, and you might have been one of those people, and now you get to be a recipient in a way. Yeah. Sorry, that was a little clumsy, but I'm just trying to say how much this community is pretty awesome.
No, it's cool. I've been talking about it all year. I've been trying to do stuff. We got an event on the 16th to raise some money for it, but it's give me a second. You do your thing.
I understand. So, hey, everybody out there in the chat and who's listening in the car or at home, great to have you. I'm just thrilled to be here with Spence. Some heavy topics right at the top of the show, but hey, this is life, right? We're gonna slug it out together. We're gonna put our snow boots on. We're gonna put our hiking boots on, and we're gonna get to the end of that lonely road. We're gonna get to the top of the peak, and we're gonna try and do it together. We're gonna pull each other along. Look, it's a big deal, right? We got a lot to talk about. We tackled one issue. There's an issue, Spence, that I'm always worried about. What if I want to buy or sell my home? What do we do? Sorry for the transition, but we got
Red 19, Blue 21, said hot. Oh, hey guys, I'm not Josh. I'm John Spascheck, the market dominator, the proud sponsor of the John Fina Show, hosted by the voice, Joe Miller. And folks, the great thing about why we love our quarterback, not only is he awesome, but here's the reasons why. He's super disciplined, he's an incredible hard worker, he actually is very intelligent, and he has a ton of focus. These are some of the qualities that my good man John Fina used on the field to help the Bills get to Super Bowls so many years ago. But now, in real estate, I'm the guy who helps you win. This is what we do. We educate, we advocate, we negotiate, and we dominate. So if you want to win in this market, you call me 716-570-3298. Go! Let's go, Buffalo!
I love John, dude.
Yeah, he doesn't just dominate the market; he dominates the airwaves.
He dominates everything, man.
Yeah, he's so cool. I love it.
John is actually going to be at the he's going to be at the karaoke event, and he's going to be singing. So make sure you all get out and come to see him. Come hear him sing. I'm going to try to go
and
live.
And that's the 16th.
Yeah.
Is that Saturday? That's the Saturday
it's
before
Friday night.
The Friday night before the Monday night game. That's right, because that's the 19th. Oh, you're making it harder and harder on me, Spence.
I'm sorry, man. I just really want you in Buffalo.
I know. I want to be there. I'm trying to riddle it out, man. I'm trying to riddle it out.
Yeah. Let's
dig in. Let's dig in. Okay.
We had our last preseason game, and personally, I don't know what I learned from it, because I feel like there's maybe 2 or 3 positions on the roster, three spots that are up for grabs, and it's like the places I thought were up for grabs, those guys didn't even play. So what did you learn, if anything, from A, what we're gonna go through with this cut down, and then B, just overall, you watching the game, what'd you get from that?
Well, it was kind of flat, right? And I know the starters didn't play, but it looked really flat. And that could be carryover from the past events or not. It didn't really look like, aside from a few performances and some of the energy that I saw, I thought it was reasonably flat. I think a lot of guys who might have been on the field might think, well, there's a reason I'm playing, and it's because I'm moving on. And it's hard to maintain a fever pitch. So, look, there's a lot of really good football players out there on that field. I mean, it's tough, and we've talked about it. I mean, what's the movement on this roster? From the guys, obviously, we cut, we let go. We set this training camp roster. And when you looked at the top 53 guys, how many did you think are at risk? 3, 4?
Maybe 4. And I think that's reaching.
Right.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed watching Raheem Blackshear. I did watch him pretty closely. We'll dig into it as we go position by position, but I got an opinion on that. I have an opinion on a few players on the offensive line. I know that shocks you, but I didn't see a ton from the front 4 that maybe, kind of shake my head or get real excited either. And then the linebacking core, it's a little harder to track, but I was a little bit indifferent to their play. And the secondary looked like they struggled a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll break down the units really quickly. But Andrew has a question for you. He wants to know. He said he saw a lot of people say our preseason streak ending was a huge issue. What are your thoughts on that? I'm sorry for laughing, man.
You're not really that sorry.
No, I'm not sorry.
Hey, Andrew, look, I agree that you're bringing a question up, and I'll answer it. But I think 2 years I went to the Super Bowls. I think we had 5 preseason games, maybe 9 over the course of those 2 years. I think we won 2. They don't matter, in my opinion. I like what the Bills do with them, but I don't balance the season performance on anything based on the result of preseason.
Yeah.
But people love to talk, right, Spence?
Yeah, they love to talk, and it's always something to talk about. Like the Ravens have 20? They're at 21 games or something, or 22 games streak. It's fun to talk about during the preseason. You got some energy heading into the season, but all in all, what it comes down to is making sure that your guys exit the preseason healthy, making sure that you have some good communication amongst your offensive line, and that the coaches have good communication with your quarterback. That's what you're worried about going into the season. So yeah, I think we're good there.
I agree.
So let's talk about, because you mentioned the linebacker room, and it's a little difficult to kind of pay attention to right in that game. I have some questions, because we have a rookie that appears to be like, I think he's gonna like a diamond in the rough, man. I think they really got somebody special. I think there's been a lot of talk about what are we going to do with just really every position, but let's talk about the linebackers. How do you think this is going to play out now? Let's kind of just dive in, because I think, like you said, we couldn't learn nothing from the game. So let's dive into these cut downs. Let's start off with the linebacker room. I'll start with the defense, and we'll throw up what you have as a complete defense.
Right. Yeah, so I think the biggest takeaway when I built the defense here is that last year it was 6 defensive ends and 4 corners. But I think you got to steal from one position to support the cornerback room because, I don't care how great things are going with Trey White, and I hope they are. But I don't think that you want to just pretend like right? So I added one to cornerback, which means I had to delete somewhere. And I chose the defensive end room because I feel like if push came to shove, that Ed Oliver could go out to the end spot. So that's pretty much the biggest talking point, I guess. And if you look at the DBs, right, I think it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jaquan Johnson, I think he was getting safety reps, so you get a little bit of transition there from cornerback to safety. And I don't know if it's a surprise for anyone, but Bernard looks great. And and diamond in the rough, I mean, that's what we come to expect from Bean and McDermott. So I like it. And he's a real interesting character, too, because the way he plays, you can look at going into a dime or a quarter, and he almost plays big enough or he does play big enough, obviously, as a linebacker, but he's, quick enough that you're not too concerned about him in the shallow middle. You know what I mean? It's a great. He's a great specimen.
I just like you said, it's kind of what you come to expect from Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott anyway. Just getting talent for the roster, whether it's a free agent, undrafted free agent, a 6th-round pick, it doesn't matter what it is. It just seems like they find these guys that even if they're not like a superstar, they come in and they do their role very well, and they just excel and they're exceptional. So.
Do you have any shocks? Do you tell anywhere on this thing where you're telling me I'm an idiot and you disagree?
No.
Or
like looking at this, the thing is like we said earlier on the show, it's like I think there's only a couple roster positions up for grabs, and when you're talking about, obviously Trey White is going on injured reserve, so we know that's but I think that's the opportunity. You give Benford those snaps, you let. Saran is special teams. I don't know if they look at him and say, hey, we want to even test you at this role. I don't know. But on defense, I don't think that there's much to talk about. I do think that there's been some people talking about Shaq Lawson not making it. I think he's absolutely a lock.
Yeah, I do too. I do. And there's a number of reasons that I would agree with you. I mean, we could go into it, go deep on it, but I think he's got the heart. I think the return back to Buffalo, and, physically he looks good. I think he makes that. And honestly, I mean, the group I had the hardest problem with was that last position at D tackle. I mean, we increased our size substantially. So it was kind of like, you could fight me on who you think should have been in there instead of Anku. But honestly, I was kind of throwing throwing a little macaroni on the wall to see what sticks. What do you think?
I don't think it's macaroni. I think this is it.
Yeah.
I think you're spot on. I think you're absolutely spot on. So,
yeah, we could talk about who the punter is going to be, but I don't even want to talk about punters. And we have I haven't been scouting punters since forever. So,
Brian Bowers wants to know. He said he thinks you mean Cam Lewis, who was getting safety reps. Does he make this team? I think both were, actually. If I'm not mistaken.
They both were, and I thought real hard about that, but in the end, you just got to make a decision, and I don't know. I kind of liked what Johnson was showing, and again, if they called me, I'll tell them confidently while I'm quietly flipping a coin. And it's so weird to say that, right? I mean, it sounds so cavalier. These are careers and lives, like, where am I going to go next? And this is it's hard to think about, in those terms. I got to flip a coin, but those guys are breaking it down more gooder than we are.
But you know what? With that being said, because they're right, I guess about Cam Lewis. So it wouldn't shock me if he's off, but it also wouldn't shock me if he made it. Because he's been solid for us. Like, he's been somebody that the team loves. The coaching staff absolutely loves him. He's played well. He obviously he's not a starter, but he shows up on special teams. And then when he does get his reps in the game, he doesn't seem to be the guy that gives up stuff. So, I don't know. It's so hard, man. I do not want to be Brandon Beane. I am so happy my name is JSpencetheKing.
That's right. That is
well,
right.
On the other side of the ball, let's talk about the other side. So
yeah, go ahead.
You think Josh Allen actually makes this team? Are you kidding me?
He's got a chance. I mean, he has a really good shot at it. Yeah, not much to talk about. I think the hardest room to talk about right now is the running back room, really, because I think a lot of people feel when they look back at last season like we missed some production. I don't think it was production that we missed. I think we missed that big play when we felt we needed it, and I guess that's kind of a guttural thing. Like, man, right now we could just use a big run that breaks their back, because I knew as an offensive lineman, when you broke one for 23 or 32 at a critical moment, it just deflated the defense. And we had a few of those runs, but we needed when it was, when it had to be the knife to the heart, and we didn't seem to get a lot of it. And look, here's my hot take on why we are not going to keep Raheem Blackshear as an active player on the roster. There's just too much at stake this year. And the hitting changes from the preseason to the regular season. And I just don't know if the circumstances come up that we want to have a guy there who's just a little too unproven. So I think Duke Johnson was amazing in the game, and Taiwan Jones has made himself known on special teams. And James Cook, I think, is going to be a star, and that's it. You could take the safety room. Comment on the running backs too, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, with the running backs, I'm with you. I kind of got beat up on Twitter from because everybody every year there's a new love. So it's like last year it was who was it? Duke Johnson? No, not Duke Johnson. Duke Williams.
Duke Williams, right?
Then before that, it was the running back from England, and then it was like, so every year there's somebody that they want to replace Taiwan Jones with. My take on it is I just look at it as if, that's like saying, okay, we want to keep Hodgins on this team so bad that we're going to replace Josh Allen. And the reason why I use that as an example, Josh Allen is elite at his position. You don't keep a depth player for an elite player. And at his position, Taiwan Jones is elite. And I know a lot of people don't want to agree with me. I know a lot of people don't value special teams the way I do. I'm a little overboard with it. I really value special teams. But, when I look at it, there's no way Taiwan Jones doesn't make this team.
Yeah. Look, I agree with you. And, I guess the upside is, some of the shortcomings I saw in Raheem Blackshear. I mean, he's got a beautiful burst. He read very nicely out in space. He bounced one play in particular last night that I watched. But there is a hesitancy that reminds me a little bit of what Devin Singletary looked like as a rookie. And I just, I don't think there's a wise play to keep that as a risk factor. I'd love to bring him back to the practice squad, and I don't know the mechanics of that. Hopefully he's still available, but I think that's best case scenario for Raheem Blackshear.
I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up in New Jersey with the Giants. It seems like, that's the new trend. Like when McDermott got here, we got everybody from Carolina. Now everybody from Buffalo is heading out to Jersey with the Giants. So We'll see. We'll see. One of the things that I was looking at with this, I know for the tight end room, you have Knox and Howard, but then you kind of had like Morris as a maybe. So how do you see this playing out with Howard and Morris?
Man, I look at the way that they're building the roster around a little bit more of a running game, the improvements that Devin Singletary, that Moss, and the addition of Cook present, right? And I think Sweeney does some nice things out in space, but I think he gets cut. I do. I don't see Tommy Sweeney on the roster, and I think the battle is really between Morris and Howard. And I'd look at it as we have Reggie Gilliam, and a lot of people want to say, it's kind of he's a quasi tight end, but not in the sets where he's in that wing position, and we want to have two tights. So, pressing on the running attack a little bit more, I think O.J. Howard's the guy. And that's a tough one. I mean, that's a really hard room to pick, man. I struggle with that. I staring at my screen. I was doing research on the interwebs, and I mean, that's what I came up with. Where do you fall on that? Because I know there's some controversy. Everybody's like, oh,
I think it's Howard. You know, I think we've seen Howard in the league long enough to know who he is. Like, he's not, you know, we're not going to get him and then all of a sudden he turns into Gronk. Like, we know he's an athletic guy. He can make some plays. He kind of messed up his career a little bit, you know, not messed up as far as off the field stuff, but I mean, like, he just wasn't the guy that we expected him to be out of college.
Right.
So we know what he is. So now I think the team knows who he is. I think the team is well prepared to put him out there in those 2 tight end sets. And I think when you play with better players, you have better results. So I think Josh Allen throwing him the ball throughout the course of the season, I think will pay dividends. And man, I'm so excited about the explosiveness that I'm expecting from this team. I think this is going to be the even more so than the last 2 years. I know it's the first year for our new offensive coordinator. I know that we got a couple new pieces. I know all of it. I get it. But I promise, I feel that this offense is going to be it, man. You talk about the greatest show on turf, it's going to rival it. Honestly, that's how I feel.
You know, what's interesting is you brought up the new O coordinator, right? And I didn't even notice a hitch. Like it's just, and guess what? I think in a year or two he could be better than the other guy, or even this year. I mean, with the roster and just the continued development. But you said something before we get to the offensive line that made me think about House Capital. You talked about paying dividends, which to me is always a lead-in for talks of finance. How'd you like how I did that, Spence?
Let's get it.
Not bad, not bad. Hey, man, when you're looking to buy a house, everyone's got a guy. Might need work done on your roof. Your buddy's got a guy. Need an inspection? Yeah, I know someone. And when you're looking to get your financing together, Brian Belser from House Capital Corp can be your guy. They help make the mortgage process simple, hassle-free, and understandable. At House Capital, their preferred relationships with some of the top lenders, most I imagine, give you the edge up in getting the financing that you need. Take it to the house with House Capital. House, a registered mortgage broker in New York State Department of Financial Services. All loans arranged through third-party providers, equal housing opportunity, House Capital, 500 Pearl Street, and MLS 1549644. Yeah, I'm working on that.
You got the voice, though. You
got to do it a little earlier in the show to get the speed read on there. But, yep, if you financing needs, go to Brian Belser at House Capital. Thank you for sponsoring the show. And let's get into I think is the offensive line room next, right? You go quarterbacks. That was a tough one. Then we talked, we're skipping over the receivers. Let's go to the offensive line. Let's go.
Yeah, because I mean, you're a football guru anyway, but I mean, this is your expertise.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Obviously, you know Dawkins is there.
Yeah. Right. So I think everybody has got like everybody's got a thing, right, for Bobby Hart, and I think this is the year, right? I watched him, and he played well in some instances. They had him at guard, they had him at tackle, but I think technically, you know, Cromer's looking at him, and I don't think he's there technically. To me, he's got some balance issues, some kind of pirouetting, opening of the gate, some kind of soft hip things that I just don't love. So for anybody out there, that's my take. I think Mr. Hart finds another home. He's probably a lovely man. But what I saw from the starters, you know, from that first game or second game, pardon me, I really like what they got. I think and I talked about this with Joe, Spencer Brown, and Quesenberry. I think you get more maturity in Quesenberry. Guy's been around. He's battled really hard, health issues. So I think that bodes well if he can stay healthy, and, you know, Spencer Brown can learn from him. Ryan Bates is a lock. I mean, come on. He's a lock, right? Mm-hmm. And then I don't know much about the unpronounceable name guy. You know, I don't know enough. But I think as the numbers add up, you keep him, Doyle, and it looks like Van Roten, but I can't be sure. And letting the guys go that they let go today, it makes sense. I don't know. I mean, but I can tell you, I will be shocked if Bobby Hart's on the roster.
Uh, I'm, I'll be shocked, just like I was last year, but I won't be shocked because I feel like for some reason Sean McDermott loves this guy. Like, I don't know if he's just like the perfect teammate. I don't know if he plays a heck of I don't know. I just don't know what it is. I don't know if he has dirt on Brandon Beane. I don't know what's happening here, but this guy seems to make the roster. He sticks around when. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, look, I have to say that my son's old teammate, Alec Anderson, played almost the entire game last night, if not the entire game, at left tackle and then at left guard. And I was really impressed. So I think, Alec Anderson, if for anybody who's really following the depths of the offensive line, I think he makes it onto our practice squad. Okay. So, I mean, there's not a lot. Some of the guys that let go. Oh, Tenuta, I thought that was one to address. I liked what I saw in Tenuta, very raw from the professional point of view, but I think he's a guy that they get back to the practice squad. But I saw him early on in his college tape, and when they drafted him, you're kind of like, as we all are, you scratch your head a little bit, then you go and you research guys. And I saw some things that he did in college that already looked different. And I think that's the type of stuff. Alec Anderson, the same thing. He did some things from his college years at UCLA. And mind you, I watched every UCLA football game last year for obvious reasons. And there's already some development, already some change. I really think it's Cromer, right? Did I get that right? Not Comer. It's Cromer, yep. Yeah. I think he's on to something, man. I think he's reaching these guys, and I see some changes in technique. Or I'm just imagining it because I'm like everybody in the chat and everybody in Bills Mafia and the Bills Mafia babes that I just root for our team, man. Am I a lunatic?
No, because I think that you're honest with stuff, though. Like, I think, especially because you played in the league, I think it's kind of hard for you to just be a Bills fan. Like, I think, you give good insight. And I think one of the things that I see when you talk about who we're talking about here, I think the Bills would be dumb to like completely get rid of. Like, I know you got to cut him, get this guy back to the practice squad. I know guys want their opportunity, so if another team picks him up, fine.
Yeah, you're like you cut him, and you're like, you
have that conversation, that little gentleman's conversation beforehand, and say, like, hey.
The place I want to be, though, is when the position coaches are fighting tooth and nail to keep their guys, right? I know those aren't like tea parties, right? Those aren't like calm negotiations. Like, these are football coaches, right? And you're coming to me, JSpencetheKing, and I'm coaching the linebacker room, and I'm the GM, and I'm coming in, I'm saying, hey, Jay, your guys got to go. You're like, hell no. They don't just go, okay. It ain't like that. Yeah. You fight for your guys, and you lobby, and those are the conversations I want to hear, man. I'd love to be in those.
I feel like up and down the roster, like in every room, I feel like they're going to have some conversations with these position coaches that are going to be like, hell no, you're not getting rid of Isaiah Hodgins. Hell no, you're not getting rid of Shaq Lawson. No, you're not getting rid of – I really do. I think that's what's happening, man.
You said Isaiah Hodgins, so let's go to the wide receiver room unless you got more on the O-line, buddy.
Let's do it.
All right, give me your take. Where do you differ from me?
The only place I differ from you, I think, is in fairness, because I'm only going with how you did the defense, because you actually included Trey on your defense. So on offense, I'm going to include Stevenson, but I think Stevenson goes to IR. I think he makes the team. And then I think when he comes back, depending on how the performance is, I think Crowder could be the one that's outside looking in, because I think that he didn't have the strongest of summers for us. Mm-hmm. But again, we know who he is. Crowder is a guy that's been in the league for a long time. And okay, you have a bad couple of weeks. It doesn't mean he's a bad player. The team knows who he is. But I think the way Shakir has played, and I think the way Hodgins has kind of shown up, I just think it's very difficult for me to believe that they're going to let go of two or one of their younger guys over Crowder, who, he's good, but I mean, we got McKenzie and we got Shakir that can play in the slot. Like, we have a bunch of guys that can fill that slot.
I like that kid, and he falls in that same category as Bernard. I don't know if you're reading in the chat there, but Spence, turn your mic up or get more animated. Let's hear from you. Somebody said they couldn't hear you very well. So whatever that means technically, because I am the technical guy on the podcast, I set this whole thing up.
It's weird. It's
look, man.
Thing.
Yeah, right. I invented it. Look, I think you're right. It's really only one position under discussion at the wide receiver room, and there's guys that you want to bring back to the practice squad. Maybe not because you think they're going to be on the active roster sometime in the midseason, but I think the way Bean and McDermott target guys is, I've been out there, and it ain't any fun being on the look team, the scout team, Spence. I don't know. Have you ever had conversations about the scout team?
No, well, I actually have this summer. I got to speak to a couple of guys who were on the scout team last season, and they just kind of were telling me how the process is on a week-to-week basis and what they do. And I thought it was very, I thought it was interesting. I want to try to get a couple of them on the code of conduct.
Yeah. So it's one of two H words or simultaneously both, and wishing it was neither. It's humbling and humiliating, right? So you're going out there. And put the camera up if you want. People can see, like, you just, okay, I'm on the offensive scout team. You got 11 guys out there, and then the guy that runs the scout team is kind of holding up these cards, right? Holding them up. Everybody's looking at him going, you got it? You got it? You got it? Yeah, got it. Okay, on one, ready, break. And then you go up to the line of scrimmage, right? And you got these guys that, like, are gods, and they're like, don't touch me, Fina. Don't hit me. Hey, and so you're like, how do I do my job and not look like a stooge and get yelled at by my coach? And then how do I not get yelled at by my teammate because I'm pretending to be, a pretender, right? So you're like balancing this line. You're running these plays. They don't make any sense because sometimes the guy's drawing them up or defensive guys drawing up offensive running plays. And you're like, nobody would block that like that. Then you get up to the line of scrimmage and the defense isn't lined up the way they were on the card, and you're making it up, and it's a humiliating shit show. And you're thinking to yourself, I was a god in college. Like, I was the guy. Like, I was Luke Tenuta, man. And now I'm like, now I'm reading off a card. And I got a guy across from me, Von Miller, going, do not touch me. Okay?
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like my transition from high school to college. I tried out for Canisius basketball team. I went to City Honors. I played. I was pretty good. Yeah. We won states. I was pretty good. Not at Canisius. No, that didn't happen the same way. So it sounds a lot like that. I feel.
Oh my God, I did it for 2 years, maybe 2.5 at the University of Arizona, and I did it for 2 years in Buffalo. Even though I started my entire second year, we ran the scout team by hierarchy, right? Or years served. So I was still the 5th youngest guy. So in addition to taking every rep on offense, I took every rep on the scout team. It's crazy, right?
And now they have rules that you can't play, like you can't even practice that much. Like the league has rules now. You can't do the stuff you were doing back then.
So, and yet we sit here and like there's a whole bunch of guys on the right side of my page who are just going to be begging to be humiliated and beat down and read off a card, man. It'd be like you're a nurse and you go to work one day and they're like, now you're going to, you're going to be a veterinary assistant. You're like, what? No, not talking down to veterinary assistants, but
right. No, but I think they would get it. Like obviously the salary from an NFL player is just a little bit different. So I think they understand it. It's not a diss. But I tell you what though, even though like these guys make the practice squad or the scout team, they're still hungry. These guys want to make the team. So
yeah, well, exactly. But when you do make it, then it's a grind, man. Like you're the ass end of all get all when you're on the practice squad. You just got to be, you got to shut up and just deliver. And it's, it's a beatdown. And then sometimes like, the guys, they will just intermittently go full speed. And you're like, I was supposed to be half speed. And then you look like a fool. And the coach is like, Spence, what are you doing, man? You got to give him a look. And you're like, Okay, I get it. It's a total mind screw, right? I had a different word for that, but
I know. I heard it as you said it.
I don't want anybody from the Humane Society or Veterinary Hospital or the ASPCA coming after me on Twitter. It was a poorly constructed analogy. I regret it. I retract it. But we do have to talk very briefly about another one of our sponsors. Would you like me to do that now, Spence?
I would.
You would?
I need to buy some of their products too. So go ahead and finish, but I need your code when you're done.
Bro. I'm telling you, if you watched my tweets today, it is not Fashion Fina. It is Fina Show. It's not Fashion Show, baby. All right, this week's Q42 is giving the fans what they really want. That's more Spence, John, and Joe time, and less yada, yada, yada about the delicious, delightful, elixir, lovely, tasty Q42. So we're keeping it short and sweet. Just go to Q42barbecue.com. Add those sauces and rubs to your cart, then put the coupon code Fina Show, not Fashion Show, to save 15%. That's it. Back to the show.
Was somebody actually putting Fashion Show in there?
No, dude. I was flipping through Twitter today, and I just glanced at it, and I need to wear reading glasses, and sometimes when I'm not wearing my glasses, things appear differently than they are. Images are closer than they appear. Anyway, so I looked at it real quick, and I was like, Fashion Show? What the hell is a fashion show?
Steve B says, dude, it was your own name, Fina. How did you mess with your own?
That's the worst part. But Iman rewrites the read all the time, and he's super creative because he's a copywriter. So I'm always expecting something cool. And I was like, Fashion Show? Like maybe we got Q42 gear now, right?
I know. I'm gonna check them out when I get to Buffalo, though. I need gear like you're talking about. I need to rub and whatever else they got.
Hey, your boy Freddie made some beef ribs that were so good when I was back there at his house, right? I can imagine a T-shirt like with a buffalo rib and the Q42 pouring on it. I don't know.
I think we should make it happen.
Yeah.
So now let's get back to the team real quick. Before we transition off of them completely.
It's not about them. It's about us, Spence.
It is about us. Yeah. It's always about us.
Right.
And because it's about us, I'm going to ask you about something that I hold dear to my heart. I'm going back to special teams in a way, but we're talking about offense. Who do you think wins the punt kick return position? Because to me, that's the biggest, most important battle that I see.
Yeah. So I'll die on this hill, and Joe and I have talked about it a lot. Okay. So it's going to be a 3-part answer. And I'll try to keep it short because that's not my nature, so I'll try. I think that the rookie Shakir gets the punt return job. And I don't think it matters who gets the kick return job. Mm-hmm. So punt return, okay, Khalil Shakir, he gets the job. I just think he's got that factor, right? But I'm going to temper this. I know you love special teams, and you're looking for the big back-breaking play. But honestly, as a player, I was just always like, oh, dear God, please don't fumble and please don't have a goddamn penalty that we're starting in our own 6-yard line. That was it. Like, just catch the ball. Don't commit a penalty and don't fumble it, right? I don't want to be inside the 20, and I don't want to be, like, walking out to the field, and they got the ball back, and I'm walking back. That's it. So my expectations are low, and if we hit one every now and again, I think that Khalil Shakir is the guy. Now, kickoff returns, I mean, the way they move the ball, I mean, how many of them are there really? And I just don't see them as being – there's always a pause before a kickoff return, not so much in, I think, punting, right? Because there's more of a – it's more of a swing. You force them to punt. Whereas a kickoff is typically, well, not typically, it's after a score or it's at the beginning of a half, right? So I think there's just less impact, and so few go to the house. There you go. And who's going to do it? Matt Barkley. Matt Barkley is going to return our kickoffs.
Well, for the record, though, I don't care about the big play. I don't need a touchdown on punt
good.
returns and all that stuff. I'm the guy that, because, so for instance, I was a huge Andre Roberts fan, and I think everybody knows that.
Yeah, I heard that
Andre
once,
Roberts didn't give us a ton of touchdowns at all. But what he did do, he pretty much always helped the Bills start positive. So it was either at the 25 or more positive yards on top of it. And the issue that I had last season is once we got rid of him, I feel like there were too many times that we didn't start positively. We started, with a fumble. We started within the 15. We started, and it's like, I know Josh is great. We got a great offense and Diggs is the man, but putting that extra pressure, those additional yards, and it's not like I'm saying that they can't get an extra 15 yards, but over the course of the game, to me, those 15 yards that matters. So I just think that, having somebody who knows when to fair catch, knows when to field it in the end zone, knows when to, like, just the mental aspect of it. I think that's the part that we miss when the ball's in Isaiah McKenzie's hands. I mean, he's good grief. The guy's, he's amazing.
Yeah. So, I love it. I actually love your take on that. And it's similar to mine, except I'm just looking through the lens of a player. And there's just too many times where I'm like running out to the 38-yard line, and all of a sudden you see out of the corner of your eye a flag that is so damn far from where the guy actually caught the ball and ran it up that sideline, and you're like, oh, and you're just deflated. So, I mean, that's my vantage point. I've just had too many of those instances where I just, expletives come shooting out of my mouth and I can't control myself. But I like your take. I think if your expectation is that, you're going to get a guy that's going to break backs, not bake backs. Ooh, baby back ribs sounds good. Sorry, I'm getting a little hungry.
No, it's good. I'm hungry.
I think if your expectation is like a Devin Hester, I don't think those guys come along that often. Yeah. And the game's changed a little bit too in that regard.
Yeah, no, for sure.
We agree. So, we are in accord. Do we have an accord?
Yeah, we agree. Nice. So before we get out of here, we got about 8-9 minutes left. So before we get out of here, we'll go through the comments, see if we have anything. Is there anything on your mind though before I jump on the comments?
Look, I'll be out in LA. I think you're going to be there.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out if I'm actually going to the game or not. I got a lot of family out there. I might elect to. I love it. I'll tell you a little story. I mean, I've been to a couple, three now, Bills backers bars. In 4, including Phoenix. So I've gone to Phoenix, San Diego, Albuquerque, not for a game, but partied with them, and then Denver. And I just love it, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm sitting here like, do I like going to the Bills backers bars more than I like going to the game? I don't know. Maybe. So
sometimes I do.
Yeah. I mean, they were nuts in San Diego. They were absolutely insane in Denver. And Albuquerque was off season, but Vegas. I went and got a few of the people to show up in Vegas, just said I was in town. So I've been to like 5 of them now. I mean, they're really, I always try to keep it humble a little bit, I try, but I mean, I love being a part of the fan base now. I feel like it's kind of given a little bit of a salve to some of the painful memories. So like, I'm always like, it's like when you're parenting, right? The kids, they're all brats when they're young, and you can remember the horrible stuff, but I'm just like, I don't remember the good stuff, baby. Trying to turn it around, man.
Well, the funny part to me is though, like, because I've gotten the opportunity now to hang with you a couple times, like in a fan setting, and if you haven't gotten a chance to party with John Fina, I'm gonna just tell you right now, you need to make it a goal. No, you need to make it a goal to hang out with John Fina for whatever event, whether it's a tailgate, whether it's a live pod or whatever is going on. You need to hang out with John, because I'm gonna just tell you right now, you haven't partied until you've partied with number 70.
Well, it's not about consumption entirely. I just, I've this from me now. Like my filter is, undermatured or not grown enough, and it's not that I say things that are inappropriate. I think I just say things that are somewhat unexpected, and And I feel like levity is what we all need, right? As long as we're all well intentioned, I mean, we can get caught in the morass a little too much, right? And I think a well-positioned quip is good for everybody's soul. So when you're engaging with me on Twitter and you're like, what did that asshole mean by that? He didn't mean anything. He was just monkeying around, just kidding around. That's just me. If it sounds like I'm poking a little too much fun, I'm not. I'm more or less poking fun at me.
Well, like I said, everybody, if you haven't hung out with John Fina, like he can act kind of like he's not the man. Listen, if you get an opportunity to hang out with John Fina, he's going to be in Buffalo or you're in a town where he's going to be and he's somewhere, you make sure you get to that damn party. I'm just telling you right now, you won't regret it.
That's why I'm so much. In addition to you, my good buddy up in Phoenix, I talked to him the other day and we're trying to coordinate, like, are we going to be able to go back for a November game or are we just going to watch in Phoenix, right? I was like, hey, dude, do you mind if we go to a Bills backers club once rather than just me and you snuggling on your couch watching the game? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, yes. What's wrong with me? Anyway, yeah. So,
yeah, I can't wait. We definitely got to link this season, man.
Hey, Freddie threw a comment in there.
He said you were gone by 6 p.m.
That is not true in the least, man. I tempered it over time. And Freddie, you owe me anyway for introducing you to the long drink, man. That's good stuff. And now they have them at Costco. A whole, a flat of them. And I'm Italian, right, Spence? So when I saw that, I immediately looked at the ceiling and figured out a way how I could break in through Costco and lower something down and steal thousands of dollars of the long drink. I started tagging them on Twitter just to see if I could get those. But it's in Finnish, so maybe those people, the Finlandians, don't get my humor.
I've been tagging Crown Royal for the longest, man.
Oh man. Between the two of us, bro, we could just hammer this out.
Yeah. All right, man. You got any final thoughts before we get out of here? I'll go ahead and close it out.
I do want to get a cameo from our Italian exchange student on, just to vex everybody. Yeah, but she's not here this time, so it'll have to be in another show. Thanks, everybody. Spence, thank you for stepping in for Joe Miller and Joe Miller Wired, even though I realize now it's kind of an anagram. Now I'm saying Joe Miller Weird. So much better, right? He's going to love that.
Yeah,
but hey, man, we always have a great time. Thanks for stepping in for Joe. And, thanks for writing my brain a little bit on special teams. And I'm glad we agree mostly on the roster. And here's my message to all the fans out there. I got one quick message. I know you get passionate, and I know you get like that meme of the guy walking with his girlfriend, checking out the girl over the shoulder. I know you get that, right? I know. Shiny new thing. We all get it. I get it too. But in the end, this roster was a bunch of guys that showed up this spring and summer, and they all look damn good. And they're all I hope they all make it onto another team. They come through Buffalo. You root for them. You look for them on other rosters. And if your guy doesn't make the team, just do what I do. Just shut up and suck it up and live to fight another day, baby.
Enjoy the ride. If your guy doesn't make the team, I'm with John on this one. Suck it up. The team is going to be trust the process.
Yeah.
I feel like we stopped saying that as much. Trust the process.
I have my process juice every podcast. Daniel,
shout out to my man Daniel. He says, great show. John, thanks for doing these shows. Jay Spence, you are awesome. Don't ever change. Love you guys. Peace and go Bills. I love you too, Daniel. I love everybody in here tonight. I want to thank y'all for letting me fill in for Joe and John. I appreciate you, man. And if you guys aren't doing anything tomorrow night, join me for the Code of Conduct. I'll have my special guest, Rob Stats. He represents the Niner Nation podcast, but we're actually going to be doing a full NFC breakdown. We're going to talk about the whole thing, but I'm going to talk about those Niners tomorrow, because I just found out that Jimmy Garoppolo took a pay cut to be a backup. We got to talk about it. So we're going to get on. Yeah, see John's mouth. He took a pay cut to be the highest paid backup in the league.
How do I get that gig?
Right?
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Let's get on out of here. Hey, John, man, have a great week, man.
You too, brother. Take care.
All right.
I'm talking about straining for that logo on the side.